Okay, we are rolling. Champions of Champions boxing talk. I think it's been a week since my last video, and they are starting to get a bit few and far between. Um, Today is an interesting topic, and it does relate to one fighter, but it also relates to the sport in general. It's just this fighter's fame seems to have brought more attention to the sport, but there's been things like this before, and I know there's uproar over that particular result over a week ago now, but there have been others. That was the Manny Pacquiao Jeff Horn fight. Now, let me just say one thing about boxing. The perception thing. More and more I'm hearing people tell me, and I know what they mean, that it was a close fight, right? And that there was no robbery involved. Then I ask them inevitably, who won the fight, Jeff Horn or Manny Pacquiao in your eyes? 12 media outlets out of 15 said Manny Pacquiao. Now the public response seems to correspond to that figure, right? But most people that say, oh, this was a close fight and no robbery, they tell me Manny Pacquiao won the fight. 115 to 113 on their scorecards. Boxing is the only sport daft enough to have a victory by a point or two and not have your hand raised and for the public to say it's not a robbery of some kind. As I've said in the previous video, Manny did not perform to expectation, but that doesn't mean you lose a fight. I'm just going to transfer for a moment to another sport. One sport I think that you've heard me talk about before, and that's football. Sir Alex Ferguson, the great manager of Manchester United, possibly goes down in history as the greatest coach to ever live in any sport. Right? Sometimes Manchester United would beat teams under Sir Alex Ferguson by 5 goals to 1. In other words, the victory was so clear, if it was a boxing match, by half-time, you would throw in the towel. But then there were other games against smaller clubs at Old Trafford in Manchester, where United, being the massive favourites, would only just win 1-0. Now, it's only 1 goal. Let's give the result to the other team, shall we? There was only a goal in it. It wasn't a dominant performance. It was a close match. Rubbish. Manchester United did what Manny Pacquiao did. They scored 1 more goal than the opposition, and that's all you need to do. Manny Pacquiao outpunched Jeff Horn, and Jeff Horn missed Manny Pacquiao more than Manny Pacquiao missed Jeff Horn. That's the rules. Never mind, oh, I think West Ham United is playing well at Old Trafford today. They're 1 goal down, but guess what? I'm saying West Ham won because it was a close match. No. No. It makes it just as embarrassing for boxing that we can't get people in there that can get close calls right. And for those that believe there is a lot of corruption in the sport of boxing, I understand where they're coming from. And boxing is making no effort whatsoever in cutting it out. At least in football now, you're getting video technology to help referees. It's a bit shaky at the moment, but at least you know the top governing bodies at the top are trying something new. Right? FIFA. Eventually they got rid of Sepp Blatter. Now I know corruption will always be in sport, it will always be in life. But it's the fact that football is trying something and boxing is still in the dark ages where this is concerned. So I don't blame people for concluding that it's a corrupt, stupid sport, and I'm starting to think that way myself. There's a very important match coming in September, which is pivotal to my fandom in the sport, shall we say. And that's the Golovkin v Canelo fight. Let me say this. I will do a breakdown of Golovkin Triple G before the fight happens. If that result is another screw job, there will be no post video from me or any video on this sport again, period. See, I'm in a real unfortunate position in my life. I sort of serve two corrupt entities. That's right. One, boxing. Right? Where if your face fits, the judges will give you the decision. But me in the acting world, if your face fits, you get the part. So, at times, you see, boxing, this is how I'll describe it. Of all the sports in the world, boxing is the girl that you would never bring home to meet your mother because she would embarrass you. Yes. I've had people come up to me after watching the Pac-Man fight and saying, "Why do you watch that nonsense? It's garbage. You're talking a great game, mate, but you do know they're all corrupt." That's what the general public say to me. That's what many people believe. That's what they see in boxing. And this was a high-profile fight, but let me tell you something. One judge this year tried, yes, they tried, to rob Keith Thurman, didn't they, against Danny Garcia? Keith Thurman won that more clearly than Pacquiao beat Horn. But one judge gave it Danny Garcia in the hope that some other judge next to him might be swayed. Nonsense. If you know how to score any boxing match, close, unanimous, whatever it is, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that Keith Thurman boxed Danny Garcia's head off. Right? Then we had this nonsense with Tony Weeks, didn't we? In that premature stoppage in the second Andre Ward fight. Then, though he's not a big name in the sport, Ricky Hatton also this year had a fighter who was clearly in a fight. It was a draw, in my opinion, or maybe Ricky's fighter, you could say, won it if people are giving points off aggression, right? But the score was something like 10 rounds to 2. And of course that was never brought up, but Ricky was really angry. If this would have been Canelo, people would have been, outraged. Right? Miguel Cotto. Did Canelo win that fight 10 rounds to 2? I'm sorry, no he didn't, last year. But you see, these are just cracks that are just papered over with wallpaper all the time. Now, I've heard people say, well, you can't judge CompuBox. It's not really a good gauge in how a fight plays out. Alright, fair enough. You don't have punch stats live as a spectator when you're watching a bout. But there have been countless recounts of the Manny Pacquiao-Jeff Horn fight in terms of punches. And you know something? All the media was saying, I think Manny landed a lot less than he was given credit for on fight night. Nobody ever said, though, did they, that Jeff Horn might have actually landed less. Oh, it had to be Manny landed lower and Jeff landed higher. Now, Jeff Horn, as I've said, is a better fighter than even I anticipated, and I did think he was better than the media was giving him credit for. It's not Jeff Horn's fault, this. I'm not saying that. But the recount shown, Manny did land, I think, 20 shots less. But guess what? Jeff Horn landed 10 shots less. Jeff Horn only connected, I believe, with 85 shots compared with Manny Pacquiao's 144. Yes, Jeff Horn was coming forward. Yes, Jeff Horn was doing this, doing that to upset Manny's rhythm. But the number one rule is to hit and not get hit. That rule's law in boxing. Yes, when rounds in terms of punches are close, then you do go off aggression, then you do go off ring generalship. But the king rule of the Queensberry rules is about punches. And them landing, not how many you throw. You could sit in the corner a mile away from your opponent in the squared circle and throw shots at thin air. What, a judge is going to give you the round for that? Ridiculous. Some people who you respect saying this nonsense. Absolute drivel. Absolute drivel. So the recount shown that even Manny Pacquiao still outlanded Jeff Horn. And yes, Manny landed less than CompuBox give him credit for, but so did Jeff Horn. So in the end, it kind of equaled itself out. Jesse Vargas statistically hit Manny Pacquiao more than Jeff Horn did. Statistical fact. And we also know Dave Moretti tried to rob Manny Pacquiao in the Vargas fight as well, didn't he? He only gave Manny the win, by 1 round, going off the knockdown. You telling me that aside from the knockdown in the Pacquiao-Vargas fight that it was a draw? Honest to God. Go take your mind for a wash, pal. You see, I'm a fan of the sport. I watch the sport a lot. But the sport doesn't pay me. The sport pays Dave Moretti and this new CJ Ross that they've got in Australia. I mean, where did they come up with 117, 111? Give me a break. That. And another thing, Queensberry rules does not include headbutts. Queensberry rules does not include headlocks. There's a funny video online. It's hilarious. And it's of a kangaroo that's got a dog in a headlock. That's what Jeff Horn had Manny Pacquiao in during the fight. Yes, I like aggressive fighters. But I'm also aware that that's not the rules of the sport. And here's another thing that never seems to go for Manny Pacquiao, does it? In what is perceived to be close contests, he never gets the rub of the green, does he? One judge forgot to count a knockdown in the first Marquez fight, so therefore Manny was robbed of a win and it was called a draw. Again, having a professional judge that doesn't know how to count. Come on. Then we get Timothy Bradley. What a travesty that first fight was. It's Miss CJ Ross. She even tried to rob Floyd Mayweather, didn't she, in the Canelo fight? Who saw Canelo Mayweather as a draw? If you've seen that fight as a draw, people need to bring a straitjacket and take you to an asylum immediately. Right? And if she saw Timothy Bradley winning, honest to God, why was she ever allowed to officiate again in high-profile fights? I don't know. And I'm not for a person to lose the job or anything, but where do you draw the line? Especially when you suspect that this person is not incompetent, but they could be corrupt. That's the worry. Because, shout out to Counterpunch Boxing, I think it's Tracy Stans, he actually states that this woman had a history of bad scorecards, shall we say. What the hell is she doing turning up in a world title fight with Manny Pacquiao and Jeff Horn? You've got one of the biggest stars in the world, and you've got her judging. Honest to God. But shout out to Counterpunch Boxing. That was good insight. What you researched there. But as I said, then you get the Eric Morales fight. Now that fight could have gone either way, the first one. It goes Eric's way, doesn't it? So, things for a guy who's so much of a cash cow, a lot of decisions do go against this guy. You know, let's face it, statistically, and going by the eye test, the first Marcus Maidana Floyd Mayweather fight was closer than Pacquiao Horn. If Manny Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn, Floyd Mayweather lost 10 rounds to 2 v Marcus Maidana in that first fight. See, in close encounters, Oscar De La Hoya, that at most was a 115-113 fight. Chino Maidana, probably the same. I'll be honest, I give it Maidana by a point on the night. And statistically, when they're shown the numbers, I wasn't that far off. Floyd actually only landed 9 shots more. Now, over 12 rounds, those extra 9 are kind of hard to see. And Maidana did throw more volume. Right? So, De La Hoya, Chino Maidana, Castillo was a clear win for Castillo in that first fight v Mayweather. Everything points towards that. But in all them cases, those 3, he got a better break in close fights than Manny Pacquiao has got in his close fights. So, I just don't know what to make of it. You see, I'm going to say this. It looked a foregone conclusion to me that Floyd Mayweather is going to turn up and whoop Conor McGregor. And he probably is. But don't be surprised if Conor McGregor is still there in the 12th round and has won 2 rounds or 3, pushing it, if they don't take it from Floyd. If they don't rob Floyd Mayweather. I won't put it past them. I would not put it past them. If they can give Canelo a draw, one of the judges, if Conor McGregor can win a few rounds, and again look better than people thought, even though he's doing nothing but taking shots, then they'll give the fight to Conor McGregor. I think Floyd may have to chin this guy and knock him out, because you can't trust this sport. You can't trust it. If I'm Floyd now, or if Floyd ever listens to this, which I doubt he will, go in there, Floyd, and you lay that right hand on him. Because if Conor is still standing, there's a risk. And I know you will outland him. He will miss. But because Conor McGregor is seen as a novice, and he didn't look like a novice on the night, they'll give him credit for things he's not even doing. I guarantee you. So, yeah, I'd be kind of hoping that also when Mikey Garcia takes on Adrian Broner, that there's not a screw job in that one as well. See, 2017 was looking like a tremendous year for boxing, wasn't it? And here we are, yet again, talking about incidents like this, where renowned, so-called, trained professionals, not just judges, referees, Tony Week, you've got a great commentator in Paulie Malignaggi, but because of his just sheer hatred for Manny Pacquiao, can't tell the truth. See, I heard fools coming out saying that Jeff Horn's face looked like that of a winner come the end of the fight. I mean, he looked like the guy out the Goonies that, "Hey, you guys," after the fight. And there's casuals coming out with stuff saying, "Did you see how well he took them shots?" Well, I've got news for you. It's about not taking shots. It's about hitting the other guy and avoiding shots back. If it was about taking shots, well, Arturo Gatti would be the greatest fighter in the history of the world. But he's not. Face of a winner. Manny did nothing. Look at his face. It doesn't even tell a story. Well, sorry, bird brain. That indicates that that guy did better in the match. If he's no marks on his face, what does that tell you? We all love a bit of testosterone in the ring. We all love a bit of shots thrown and all of that stuff. But we have to obey the rules of boxing, which is the Queensberry rules. Teddy Atlas has been getting stick because of the way he's seen that fight. So, here's the thing. I'm entitled to my opinion. It was a close fight. I'm entitled to my say. But yet Teddy Atlas, when he didn't see the fight as close, oh, Teddy can't say this. Oh, Teddy can't say that. If you can say it's a close fight, Teddy can say it wasn't. It's alright when you've got an opinion, but it's not alright when somebody else has an opinion. Is it? See, I'm rambling on here about things, but when you really, really weigh it up, I do think that Manny Pacquiao has nothing else to prove in the sport. But ultimately, he will fight on. And Manny Pacquiao has give, I think, $500,000 of his money away to people on the streets this week. I pray that if Manny Pacquiao is ever in difficulty in his life, somebody will look after him the way he tries to look after others. Because he has said some things that I don't always agree with. Everybody's got flaws to the character. Nobody's perfect. But the majority of what he stands for is good, I think. And in the ring, he tries to entertain you, doesn't he? Right? There's no such thing. See, the thing with Manny Pacquiao, he's too entertaining, isn't he? He's too entertaining. He brings great fights. He brings pugilism. He brings controversy. He brings crowds. No doubt the rematch, I believe now, will be even bigger than the first. I mean, people are just fascinated with Manny Pacquiao. You know, it's kind of like a strange Twilight Zone life he lives, but people are hooked, aren't they? They can't keep their eyes off him. Whether it's in his political career, whether he's winning comfortably in the ring, whether he's losing controversial decisions, whether he's being knocked out by Marquez, whether he's winning world titles in 8 divisions, when he's on a good streak of wins, when he loses, the wonder of can he come back? And he has always managed to do that, hasn't he? After Marquez, he looked done. Then he won 3 tremendous fights against 3 very good fighters. And he got that fight he craved. He made it to the Mayweather fight, didn't he? Which broke all records. Then, the Mayweather fight, people thought, oh, he's done. Then he come back and beat Timothy Bradley, the best I'd ever seen Timothy Bradley. And then, Jesse Vargas, big, strong champion. Many people thought that that guy was a better fighter than Jeff Horn. Maybe, I don't know. But the question is, did Manny get old overnight? It's happened with great champions before. There's no question that was not the Manny that we often see. But are we not giving Jeff Horn enough credit? The rematch, I think Manny can win. I do. A little clearer than the first fight, because now, you know, with the WBO, here's another thing. The WBO are saying they're going to rescore the fight, but they're not going to change the outcome. Well, what's the point on that? If you're going to say, oh yeah, we as the WBO have just rescored the Manny Pacquiao-Jeff Horn fight, and now our conclusions tell you Manny Pacquiao won, but the official result stays the same. Well, guess what, clever clogs? I could have told you that. Again, I'm not a professional. Unless these things are not being overturned, why bother? Because the vast majority of media outlets and people, Lennox Lewis, is this guy Lennox Lewis a casual? He is one of the best chess players I have ever seen in the heavyweight division. If any guy knows the Queensberry rules of boxing, it is Lennox. Lennox would not give Manny credit that Manny didn't deserve. Yet he scored it for Manny Pacquiao. Right? Jesse Vargas telling me an ex-world champion doesn't know anything about boxing. Manny Pacquiao beat Jesse Vargas, and yet still, despite being a bit bitter about losing to Manny, he still said Jeff Horn lost. Budu Jack. So you've even got Mayweather fighters coming out and saying Manny Pacquiao won. And those guys hate Manny Pacquiao. There's only Paulie Malignaggi and a few others that are saying nonsense. And when are we going to see the true rule of Queensberry rules, where you can batter a man from pillar to post and it doesn't matter whether he stays up on his feet or not? If he's not responding to a certain level, it's a 10-8 round. You don't need a knockdown. That was as dominant a round I've seen in a long time. The rest of the fight was nowhere near as dominant as the 9th round, but the 9th round was very similar. The Jeff Horn-Pacquiao fight, that 9th round reminded me of, I think it was the 7th or 8th round of Manny Pacquiao v Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar was just a sitting duck. He stayed on his feet. Oscar De La Hoya would stay on his feet. You would have to, send a meteorite from outer space to knock him down. But it was a 10-8 round. He didn't land a shot. Jeff Horn couldn't even cling to Manny Pacquiao in that 9th round. He was out on his feet. The referee even said, I'm concerned about you now, boy. And yet that wasn't a 10-8 round. Within the Queensberry rules, once again, it's a 10-8 round. So, I hope I'm talking about this sport forevermore. But football is showing me more effort to clean things up than boxing is. Boxing is still, I'd say, because there's more money in it now, there's more potential for corruption. Don't get me wrong, smaller cards do get robberies. But the bigger you go in level, the more nonsense you get when big fights are tied with big financial rewards. Right? Kenny Bayless and Joe Cortez, congratulations, Tony Weeks. You have just joined that queue of questionable referees. Now, people saying right now, well, that's only your opinion. That's only your opinion. It isn't my opinion. It's a fact, because I'll tell you for why. Joe Cortez, right? Joe Cortez allowed Ricky Hatton to fight an inside game. Not a dirty fight, because Ricky Hatton really wasn't a dirty fighter. He's not like Jeff Horn. No disrespect to Jeff Horn, but he is a pretty dirty fighter. People say about the Costa-Tszyu fight, but let me tell you something. Costa-Tszyu was hitting Ricky Hatton low 2 or 3 times before Ricky responded. Ricky fought well on the inside within the Queensberry rules. That's exactly what he was allowed to do in the Jose Luis Castillo fight, which Ricky ended in 4 rounds. Guess who the referee was that night? Joey Cortez. So then, Mayweather-Hatton comes along, that contest. The world is watching, and I'm thinking, this could be a test for Floyd, because Joe Cortez lets a guy box, and he lets an inside fighter work. But he didn't that night. Why did he allow Ricky Hatton to work on the inside v Castillo and not v Floyd Mayweather? And I'll give it another Wake up. So, this has been one of my almighty rants about the sport. And I'm not expecting people to be perfect. But close calls, unanimous calls, I'm just concerned why time after time again we can't get in a multi-million-dollar sport judges and referees that get it just right. If Golovkin-Canelo is a disaster, I don't care. See, if the right man wins, I'm a winner. If Golovkin goes in and say Bernard Hopkins decides to become Bernard Hopkins and take very little punishment from Canelo, but, be low volume and only land a few shots but enough to win the rounds. Even though he's not been the Triple G we know, he's won the fight. You can't give it the other guy because he didn't live up to your perception of who Triple G is. Likewise, if Canelo does the same. Canelo's won the fight. If Canelo genuinely wins, I have no problem. I don't mind his hands being raised because Canelo, to me, before all this Triple G nonsense, he was a warrior in my eyes. A bit of a weight bully, but he was a warrior. Right? So I have no problem with a man like Canelo carrying the sport forward because I know deep down he's brave. It's this promoter nonsense that is hurting Canelo. But he's taking control now. But if Triple G genuinely wins that fight on the cards, I want to see that called out. Because Bernard Hopkins said, and again, this was kind of eerie to me, he said, I see Canelo winning his toughest unanimous decision yet. Do you know something we don't, Bernard? Because you work for Golden Boy, don't you? Triple G, if you've got any sense, you will try and end this within the 12 rounds. And here's another thing, let's swing it. A Triple G victory means a rematch clause, which is big money. So, it benefits Golden Boy if Triple G wins. I also think Canelo then will be in a position where he might have to stop Triple G or dominate him, because if he doesn't, Oscar's thinking about gold. You know, that always believe in your soul stuff. There will be another Golovkin-Canelo fight. I'm convinced just when I seen a rematch clause there. Ding! Also, ding! When I did a bit of research lately and I figured out, there it was. Manny Pacquiao v Jeff Horn, a rematch clause. Now, come on. For a so-called guy that's a novice, Jeff Horn, which I knew he wasn't, but they said he was, yet there's a rematch clause. This was planned from the very beginning. ESPN knew that Manny Pacquiao brought a ratings bonanza, and the Australian government paid for part of the purse, didn't it? They're not just going to want that event to go in one night. They sold 50,000+ tickets. It was the biggest boxing event Australia has ever seen, or ever will see, until November. Put it in your calendar. Let's hope the right decision is called. Again, if Jeff Horn is truly the man that night, credit to him. But please, in some of these fights that Manny Pacquiao has won by a round or two, please give him the victory. Because a close win is still a win at the end of the day. As I said, Manchester United used to win many games 1-0 under the great Sir Alex Ferguson. What you going to do now? Go up to Alex Ferguson's home and take his titles away and say, no, in my opinion, West Ham did better than I thought they did, so I'm giving the victory to them. You can't do that. But as I said, boxing's the only silly sport that can't see daylight from night time. Anyway, that's my rant. I hope you got some joy out of it. It's a bit like therapy for me. Deep breath. Champions of Champions Boxing Talk. I'm out.